Hello ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from the YouTube channel Redolessence. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are doing well. I have my friend Carlos with me today.
What's going on, everyone?
And today we're going to be making 10 floral fragrance recommendations that are unisex, I would say. Some marketed for women, but I think that all of these can be pulled off by a guy. So stay tuned. Before I begin the video, I do want to make the quick disclaimer that fragrance is personal, it's very subjective, and I've always been an advocate of you should wear what you like, wear what makes you feel comfortable, wear what makes you happy, despite the designation or despite what the fragrance is called or anything like that. And so these are 10 fragrances that I think could be pulled off by a guy, especially somebody who has a great degree of confidence in himself.
If I may?
Yeah, please.
Just before you get started, this happens to be a mostly niche fragrance floral list, but there are definitely some designer florals that are also very good as well, but today we kind of went with niche offerings.
Yeah, correct. So there are obviously a lot of designer fragrances out there that a lot of people wouldn't think that they're floral. So for example, Acqua di Gio has a nice deal of jasmine in it. I know L'Eau de Pour Homme has lotus in it. Dior Homme has iris in it. And so yeah, you do have some floral ingredients that do dominate men's fragrances on the designer side, but we have focused, because I think they're spotlighted a little bit more, floral ingredients in niche fragrances. So the first one, you have to look past the name, okay? I promise you when you do, you'll be able to appreciate this one for what it's worth. But it's from the house of By Kilian, and I might as well show you guys what it looks like up close. It's called Good Girl Gone Bad. This is just a beautiful bottle, the presentation, everything about it. This is from the In the City of Sin collection. And what I like about this one, it's a combination of different floral notes. Truth be told, there is a floral note in here that I don't like, and that is the note of narcissus.
Okay.
But there's also a bit of jasmine. There's tuberose, if I'm not mistaken, and it rests on a bed of cedarwood and amber. And so you have a little bit of that masculine component, a little bit of the amber in there. Yes, it is predominantly floral, but I think at the end of the day, if you feel very confident in yourself, you can pull this one off, no problem.
This has a beautiful note of osmanthus in it that I really, really dig because it gives it like an apricot type of effect.
Yeah.
And it does lean a little feminine, but I could see the dry down working for men as well.
Yeah.
Just don't let anybody ask you what you're wearing today.
Yeah, and truth be told, a lot of jasmine-based scents, and we have a few in this list, a lot of jasmine-based scents, if it's not an indolic jasmine, it can kind of come across smelling rather clean. And so as long as you're very careful with the application, you can actually give off that impression that you just smell clean.
Cool. Up next, we have, speaking of jasmine, we have from the house of Le Labo Jasmine 17. This is an Alberto Murillas creation. It's not an indolic or animalic jasmine. It's actually a very candied jasmine, and it's a nice one.
I agree. You said it perfectly, so nothing else to provide there. The next one from the House of Xerjoff is one that I've owned for many, many, many years, and a little bit of this one goes such a long way. This has actually made it into a lot of my spring lists, and this one from the Shooting Stars collection is called Dajala. And you'll see that I'm actually going off of the old presentation here. So the floral note that's dominant in this one is African orange flower. And
Love
so
orange blossom.
It's so good. And so it kind of gives off this orangey yet floral vibe to it. It has more of like a citrus appeal. It doesn't smell overly floral or overly feminine, but from a literal perspective, yes, it does contain a floral ingredient. But this is so easy to pull off, and you just smell very upper class, very refined, very polished.
And up next from one of my favorite houses. What's my favorite house? Come on, you know, yes. Of course, Tom Ford Private Blend. This is Vert de Fleur. It's from the Vert collection. It has a prominent floral note of iris and hyacinth. It has galbanum, so it's very green. A little resinous, but I like it. It's not overly heady in any way, and I don't think that the floral aspect of this fragrance is really upfront, but it's there, and it's comfortable to wear for a guy, I think.
Yeah, understood. What I like about this one is that it has that vert quality that you see in a lot of other fragrances from this same collection. So Redolessence kind of gives off like this Christmas tree pine resin kind of a feel. I do get the same thing from this one. And so it kind of like has that underlying masculine component. So this is one that I could see myself wearing during the day. It happens to be my scent of the day. So it's one that I see myself wearing during the day, and then at nighttime I would probably wear like Redolessence. And so this one, solid pick. So the next one that I picked is one from the house of the different company, and this one it has a subtitle Cuir Narcotique, which translates to narcotic leather, and this one is called Agité. So this one is a tuberose based scent, but it also has a soapy character, and it has a little bit of like an animalic touch. I think it's either civet or castoreum. So this is one where I think had it been used in a slightly stronger concentration, it could have been off-putting. This is definitely a little bit more on the challenging side, not necessarily because it smells feminine, because I don't think it smells all that feminine, but just because of that sort of like dangerous composition with the animalic ingredients, and that in combination with the florals. But I think it's awesome.
It has an edge about it.
Yeah.
It's not your typical soft tuberose. It's a tuberose / leather thing, and it's a little rough.
Yeah, exactly. But you have the amber in there too, and that adds a nice touch.
Up next, we have one of my favorite fragrances of the note that is featured in this fragrance. It is La Tessa from Masque Milano. This is a beautiful, beautiful overdose of Orris butter. Iris, it made my #1 on my top 12 Iris fragrances. It's a beauty and one that's not to be missed if you're an Iris fan. I don't find it that lipsticky per se. Some say they do, but I don't think so. I just find it to be a beautiful, beautiful composition that's just so well done, and definitely is a modern classic in my opinion.
Definitely masculine smelling. If you're a fan of Dior Homme and you're looking for, in some ways, an upgrade in terms of raw materials, I would highly recommend that you check this one out. This is an amazing, amazing scent. And yes, the iris in there is the most prominent ingredient, and it should also be noted that they use 3 different types of iris in this fragrance. The next one that I would like to talk about is from the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur. This is one that I have been enjoying for quite some time, and it's called Seville Aube. I'll show you the bottle up close. And so this is orange blossom, but there's this vanillic sweetness underneath it all that I think kind of gives it a nice touch, a nice personality. And so it's not a plain floral citrus, but it has that warmth to it.
Is there an incense note in here?
I don't remember entirely. I don't think there is, or at least I don't think of incense every time I wear it, but it definitely has a really interesting complexity that Bertrand Duchaufour always delivers to his creations, and this one is no exception.
Up next, from the House of Creed, this is a darling in the community. A lot of people like this fragrance right here. A lot of companies have made copies of this one, but it is the one and only Green Irish Tweed. I actually was turned on to this by a coworker when I was first starting getting into fragrances hardcore. She says, Carlos, have you ever tried Green Irish Tweed? I was like, no. I finally did, and then when I got more involved in the community, this was one of the biggest and most talked about fragrances. I find the floral note in this one, a lot of people say iris, but I believe that it's more of a violet.
100%. 100%. Violet, lemon, verbena.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It was your pick after all.
Clean, fresh, and that's it.
Yeah, it's definitely a gentlemanly scent. So the next one that I want to talk about is from the House of Prada. And this is one that is not as talked about, and obviously I could have gone with Infusion D'Homme, which happens to be one of my favorite fragrances. It's iris based, but I think we kind of have a holy grail iris here, so I kind of skipped over that one. This one does contain iris, but it's a combination of iris and rose. We haven't seen a lot of rose in this list. And this one is from the exclusive line, and it's called Marian Bad. This is an awesome ambery, animalic, rose, iris sort of a scent with some rich resins in the base. I love this one so much.
He definitely loves this one. When I tried it, I liked it. I wasn't as wowed as he, but it's definitely something special going on there. It wears really great on him. I didn't overly love it on me, but it is definitely special. It's definitely different, and it's definitely high tier and high end smelling. This is from one of their luxury collections. It smells great on Mr. Redolessence.
Thank you so much,
Take
man.
his word for it.
I originally went to Saks, and the sales associate who was assisting me gave me a sample of this one along with a few others. And so I came home and I wore it and I sampled it. And I just smelling it in the air, I was like, why don't I own this? And so, you know, it does take me a little extra time to commit to a full purchase, especially when it's in the vein of $300. But I do think that this one is totally worth the money. So
I'm up next, but I think this is your channel, so why don't you end it off?
all right, but we'll both talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
And so moving on to the number one pick that we have here. So one ingredient that we didn't really focus a whole lot of in this list, and I think we could have dedicated an entire video to this ingredient, is the ingredient of rose. And as a raw material, it is a very precious ingredient, and I think it's appreciated by Western noses as well as Eastern sentiments as well. And a lot of times, especially, you know, in the industry, when you talk about rose-based scents, this is one that often comes up in casual conversation. And this one from the house of Amouage is called Lyric Man, or Lyric for Men. This is such an incredible fragrance.
It really is. It's very potent. It's kind of as full and rosy, and the green elements of the floral aspect are there. There's a certain soapiness as well.
Right.
So as big of a rose as it is, there's an underlying freshness that is just really, really breathtaking about it. How can soapy be breathtaking? Well, try this and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because you do have the lime in there, you do have a little bit of that frankincense in there, and that silver frankincense that Amouage uses, and I think that for a rose-based scent, there's a complexity to it, but it comes across rather simple. I don't think it's linear. I do get a lot of changes on my skin as it progresses, but I do think that in terms of a rose-based ingredient, they can kind of come across kind of jammy sometimes. This one is very floral, wispy, but it lasts, and the longevity on this one is crazy on my skin.
It's beast mode.
Yeah.
How I got, not how I got turned on to it, but how I finally wound up getting this one was that we were meeting a friend in LA. He wore it as a scent of the day, and I was like, what are you wearing? Actually, there were two fragrances that the one that he wore the night before was a Mancera, but the following day he was wearing this, and I was like, oh my God, bro, what are you wearing? It was Lyric Man, and it was wafting across the table, and it was just gorgeous, and I was like, I need this, I have to have this, and sure enough, it's in my collection now.
Awesome, cool, man. So thank you for sharing that. And also thank you guys at home for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you took something of value from this video. These are 10 floral recommendations that I think can be pulled off by a confident guy. If you are a fan of any of these, whether it be Green Irish Tweed or Lyric Man or whatever, I would love to start a discussion. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you did take some value from this video, I would really appreciate your subscription. All you have to do is click that red subscribe button in the corner. And I'm also going to be leaving Carlos's information down below in the description as well. So definitely make sure to check them out. Thanks again so much for tuning in, guys. We love you, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care.
Bye.